Okay, in today's video, we will wrap up what we have done last time, where we created the page object model, we started creating the test, we started using the page object model inside the test case. Now we will just complete that, checking in the MPV, the exercise 2, what is left. We will all substitute with the page object model version, and we will start from here, and then we give an order to everything and run it. So first of all, to see if this was working, we can run the test. So we can make sure we run the p test 2 and see if it was working, and it is failing. Let's see the reason. So it goes to click the submit, and then it want to click the date picker. Let's see. Obviously, when you go to action, you see where it's trying to click. It's trying to click to date picker that here seems not to be visible. It is not. We check now why it is not visible. It is not visible because, as you can see, when it clicks submit, the form that was open, it closes again. So before it was open here, when it clicks submit, it closes. So I have to click it again. So let's see where the error in the submit area happens. So if we go back, let's go where the submit happens. I can search to submit. Yeah, before the click or after the click, let's add and await page dot get by text. We can check what was the text. Forms get by text forms dot click probably is the first, so we just add the first in case there are other matches, and we save, which is ctrl plus s, and restart. So now it should at least move forward. In dynamic application, you might notice that there are issues. For example, now I rerun and I got an error earlier where basically once I click from layout, once I click form, it appeared from layout, from the drop down. I check that exists, that contain the text, and then when I want to click, it's actually again closed for some reason. We need to understand why this happens, so we can go to our test, going back to where it was. So it is here. I think it's something that shouldn't have happened, but let's try another time because it should not change dynamically. As we can see, it is actually clicking from layout, but it is failing. This is a case of overlapping, and to solve that, what we will do is to add a force to click. It's something that generally try not to do, but it's something that if it's required, it is important to do. And let's see if now this solved the problem. In fact, it resolved the problem. Now the problem were another one. So we try to fix everything so that we make sure we are doing correctly. So here it is failing when in the date picker we are checking that the value is the correct one. So because we selected June, we're expecting to receive June. But me, I set May because last time I did this tutorial was May, and I select May in a hard writing. So obviously, let's search where the issue was to have value May, or now we are in June, so that picker is set by default to June. So if we save and rerun, now should pass. And this is an iteration where you make sure that the trace viewer is here shown, so that when you run the test, you will see in UI mode what is happening and debug the application. So remember to do that, because if you don't, then you will just see here the result if pass or fail without possibility to debug and find other ways which probably I will show in the future. So let's see. Okay, this is an example of when a dynamic application fails, because here it is apparently failing. Let's discover why. Here is interesting because we have, in this case, we see from layout. When we want to click instead, it is actually not showing. And we need to understand why this is happening. So the reason here it is actually not clicking is because while while this open, as you can see here, it tries to click form layout before even start to open the drop down panel. I believe that itself is the cause of the issue. So to solve it, what I will do before clicking is to add a hard wait, which generally you don't have to do. There are definitely other way we can find, but now to be fast, I will actually do a page dot wait. Even better, wait for load state will be more waiting that the page loads, and then I will run the rest. So let's try again. We're getting the same error. Okay, let's do a hard wait to see if that solves it, just for debugging reason. Okay, I resolved the issue, removing the get by role link name form layout and adding just a get by text. I believe that the type of locator was overlapping, and this very, very good example to show you how sometime you need to debug and find the locator that more fit the case. I added the get by text instead, and it worked. I believe now I can even remove the weight that I had before, and I will rerun the test. And if that works, we're good to continue. Okay, the weight was required, so we'll just. So the go to form now works because we set the previous logic inside the go to form here, as we did previously, and we called that here. So we could substitute a lot of code with only one line of code. Now we want to do the same with fill form one, but to do this, we need to ensure we have already this field in the page object model. Here we can see that we have fill form one, fill form two, etc. So we need to understand why we have an error here. So fill form one, first of all, we can check hovering here. Property fill form one does not exist on type PW test page. Let's have a look. Fill form one, it is shown there. So what we'll do, we'll make sure there is no typo. Let's actually see what it suggests. It doesn't suggest, it suggests basically the correct one, but I believe that I need to close and reopen Visual Studio Code. But in that case, I have to restart the application. So let's do that. Sometime Visual Studio Code goes like this. So I close it, reopen it, and the error should be gone. Just doing that. If you see some weird error happening, just close and reopen. Sometime that is magic, especially if you didn't do anything wrong. Obviously, here we have again to run the application and gserve. Here still showing the error. Okay, let me figure out what it is. Must be something is simple. I'll let you know. Okay, the problem here was that because we have two page object model we created for two different tests, we get a bit confusion. So make sure to name reasonably different the page object model, because otherwise you can confuse and to get the elements. For the purpose of the tutorial, I didn't think this would happen, but it actually did. So we have a test page as the element, not PW test page. So what we need to do here is that we need also to import the other page object model that contain this element. Now here you can call const test page, which is equal to that. It called basically that class. Now we can use test page, and there's that one that we should have called here, because it's that page object model that contains specifically those elements. So just remember to make sure that you're calling the correct page object model class, which contain those models. Make sure to contain logically elements modularly together, and this problem should be avoided. So fill form one, fill form two, and go to date picker. Now you will see that we will not leave for long these comments, but we will do another thing. Testing the date picker, we can even leave it together, but go to the picker form. Probably we have to substitute it with go to date picker. Let's see. Most likely we'll use this. Okay, let's substitute this to be fast with click to date picker. Let's make sure we didn't use already click to date picker here, and we actually did. Okay, let's create a method here called. One thing you should make sure not to make redundant methods. When we created click to that picker, we only clicked to that picker. We didn't also click to the drop-down menu. So we are creating a method which includes those two. Enter that picker menu, and inside we select that logic. Now we can substitute this part with await test page, enter that picker menu. Was this one the correct one? Fill the date picker can be even a different method. Think fill date picker, and this is the data, and here we go. You can add this before, you can add this here too. If you use Copilot, this will advise you. You can insert here the date, fill date picker. You can say day, which is a string, and date, which is again a string. Now, you could even substitute day and date with the date and date here. And that's what we are doing. So this can be substituted, the two line above can be substituted with the two below. It's a bit confusing with the... Okay, fill date picker. Let's do this. Let's go here. Let's select await test page. The day would be the 15 and the date picker should be this date. Okay, now what we'll do to make it cleaner is that here we select day, which is fed by what we added as parameters. And here we add date. Like this, it looks cleaner. And here you can select the data that can be visible within the test, or can be added by a data fixture or in any way you wish. But so far we'll show you in this way. We can delete this two line because we already select the logic inside field date picker, and now we need to handle the tooltip. So this part, tooltip action, we can actually handle all together, even though I see here that there is tooltip section. Probably we already created it. Tooltip section, we didn't. Let's create. I think go to tip section, and let's see if the data advised is the correct one. We actually copy this part. We paste here above just to be sure that it was the same one. Yes, it is. So we delete it, we leave to what was advised. Now we can substitute this part with test page dot go to tooltip section, and now await the hoovering part seems to be this. The advice is not good in this case, so what we will do is to copy this part, go to this hoover to tooltip, and actually it advised automatically, which seems to be correct. And we can double check. We save, double check that is the same, and it is. We can do now test page dot hoover tooltip. Now, just to double check, what we can change here is that because we are checking the text, this is tooltip, we can add it as a parameter text tooltip, which is a string, and we don't name it here. We can actually add text tooltip. Now, if we go back to the test, we can add this is a tooltip here, and it will be cleaner. Look, so, as you can see here, we cleaned up all the tests, transforming it in page object model version. What is left to do to make it cleaner to debug? I generally divide the test in test.step. So instead than having all these comments, I generally add test step, and it advises Copilot the name and substitute the internal part with the one advised. This will make, when you run the test, cleaner to understand where you are, where exactly in the test, where the potential error happens. Same thing here. Go to form will be at test.step. You can use also the annotation of Gherkin, Cucumber Gherkin, to call in a different way. The structure will be slightly different, maybe something to view in a different video. But here we do exactly the same everywhere. We substitute inside with what every part of the test does. Tab, make sure to indent correctly. Here is doing exactly the same, and I accept fill forms. At this point, you can even use the advice test.step, go to picker, and advise you correctly the one, navigate to form, go to the picker, navigate to form layout, select theme dark. Be careful because sometimes it advises wrongly. So until here it was correct. You can call it handle date pickers. If it's written separately, let me know if not. So this part, the whole part of date pickers can be put inside here. We can remove the comment now because it's all handling date pickers. We can probably indent that. You can add a lint or some rules or simply indent correctly. Here it advised to remove, go to tooltip, and here we can add test.step handle tooltip. Yeah, makes sense. The only difference is that we will copy and paste those two inside and make the overall test look clean with no need of comments. We can remove now the comments here. We can remove the comments here. Same here, because we already have the step which already tell us about what a specific action does. And that's it. We're done. We transform the full test in a page object model, easy to read. And that's it from this video. I hope this video was useful. If it was, consider to like, subscribe the channel, and show love to this video, share it, and see you in the next one.